In this lecture, we'll talk about authorization code flow with proof key for code exchange. As we also have talked that this is an enhanced version, and we use this version whenever we are developing some mobile applications, so that we can have an extra layer of security on top of state parameter, and we can minimize the risk for getting exposed, or we can say that getting compromised our credentials. So there are two additional parameters that we need to send. One parameter that we send is code challenge, and which will be sent on the first request call, which is authorized. And then we need to send a code verifier into our second request call, which is an access token request. So here is a complete flow which I have built. Let's quickly see here. As a user, you are clicking on a login on any web application which is on your mobile, and then this mobile application is going to send the authorization code request to the authorization server, and this time this request is going to contain one additional parameter, which is code challenge. We will talk about what value we need to send as a code challenge there, and then authorization server will take you to the login page where you need to provide your credentials and your consent as well for accessing what level of information that mobile application is going to access. If you have provided your consent, then this authorization server is going to return authorization code to the mobile application, where mobile application is going to make an immediate request, which will be request for getting the access token, and this request will contain the information along with the authorization code that we have got, the code verifier, which is the second parameter that we will be sending to the token endpoint. And now authorization server is going to validate both the code verifier as well as the code challenge. And if the value for both these code verifier and code challenge are valid, then only you will get the ID token and access token along with some additional information. Once the web application has got these access token details, web application can send some request in order to get the protected resources from the resource server, where resource server is going to validate this access token and then going to return the response, either a success or an error response. So this is the complete flow which happens or take place whenever you are trying to use this proof key for code exchange flow. Now let's quickly see how we can generate code verifier and code challenge. So code verifier is a random string that we can generate using some sort of methods. There are multiple methods which are available to generate the random string. And then code challenge is a SHA-256 of code verifier, which must be base64 URL encoded. So here are the steps that we need to follow. First, we need to generate a random string to use the code verifier, which will be our code verifier, and we can store it locally so that we can send it into the next call. And then we need to generate the SHA-256 of that random string, which is our code verifier. And once we have got this SHA-256, we need to base64 URL encode for this SHA-256 blob value which we have got. So these are the simple steps that we need to generate for that we need to follow for generating code verifier and code challenge. So here is a simple request. As we know that authorization code flow is going to follow the two-step verification, so we will prepare the request on the step 1, where we are going to use Salesforce for this flow. So we have got this URL for the Salesforce authorization, where it is going to be either login or test based on your Salesforce environment. We are using Salesforce developer environment, it will be login.salesforce.com. If you are using sandbox, then it will be test.salesforce.com, and everything will remain same. Next thing what we need to send is we need to send the client ID of our Salesforce connected application that we also have seen into the previous lectures. Then the grant type, it will be authorization code, response type will be code, and then we have got the redirect URI. Again, it will be the URL which you have set up in your connected application. Then scope, you can use some scope like OpenID profile or some other scopes you wanted to have the access like API. Then code challenge method, it will always going to be S256. Then code challenge, the value that you have generated into the previous steps like base64 URL in code of SHA-256 of code verifier. So this is the step 1. Let's quickly generate this step 1. So we are here. Let me open my notepad where I have already generated. So we are here. This is the URL and this is what all we have. So first thing what we said is we need to copy this URL, which is our base URL authorize, and then we will say the client ID, whatever the client ID we have got, and then we will talk about grant type. We can say grant type is authorization code, so it will always be authorization code here. And then we will say once we have got the grant type, we need to put the response code, response type, which will always be the code. And then there is few things like we have to put the redirect URI, so we can say that redirect URI, your redirect URI. And then we can say we have to put the code challenge method, so it will always be S256. And then we also need to provide code challenge, so we will say that code challenge our string that we are going to generate. So this is a kind of our complete request. We need to put scope as well. So I already have here all those values. I'm going to show you how to create this code challenge. So you need to create the code challenge. You have various ways to create. Whenever you are in Apex class, you need to use some sort of methods. How you will do that, I will also show you. First, let's quickly see how to generate that using a URL. So there is a URL which is going to give you some code verifier, and it is going to give you some code challenge. So and it is also going to tell you what all the how to send a request for authorization and how to send a request for getting the access token. So you just need to go ahead and click on this generate button. It is going to reload the page where you will get this is your code verifier and this is your code challenge. So you can use this as a code challenge, you can use this as a code verifier. And then as under the usage, you can see here it is telling you the complete request which you need to prepare. So you can just copy this request and then you can go ahead and prepare all these requests. And then again for the token here, you can see that this is the request that you need to send for getting the access token. So that is what we have used this. And here if you get back to our notepad, we have all these code verifier and code challenge. Now what we need to do is we need to copy this code challenge, okay, because we have got this new code challenge, and then we will replace the value for our code challenge. Now we have replaced it, okay. Next thing that we need to do is we need to copy this code verifier as well. We need to use this code verifier here inside our, this is the code verifier that I have used earlier. We can just go ahead and replace this code verifier with the new code verifier that we have got. Now we just need to hit this URL to get the access token authorization code, and then we will hit this URL to get the access token. So let's quickly see how we can do that. So this is the URL that we have just copied. I have pasted over here in the Google. I'm going to hit enter. So as soon as I hit enter, it might ask my username and password. But I'm already logged in here, so it might not ask the username and password. And you can see that I have been redirected to my redirect URI, and then I got this code. Now what we need to do is we just need to quickly go to our postman here. Under the postman, we need to follow the second step, which is this step 2. We need to use this URL. We need to use this URL to hit and get the access token. So we'll be using this as a URL. Method will be post. Content type will be application by URL exform coded. So we'll go ahead. I have used the same method. Under the header, I have used content type, which is application by URL exform URL encoded, and we need to go to body. And under the body, we just need to quickly go ahead and replace the body that we have just prepared with our new code verifier. And then under this here, you will see that there is one more parameter which is saying that code, and this is saying that your authorization code. This authorization code will be replaced with the value of the code that we have got from the very first step. Now we will send the request and we'll see if we are getting the access token. So here you can see that we got the access token, we got signature, we got a scope, ID token. Now what I'll do is I'll just copy this information, paste it somewhere in my notepad, and I will show you, because this is an happy path. Happy path means we have provided everything which is correct and we got the access token. Now suppose that this is the code verifier. I'm just changing some value in the code verifier and try to send. We'll see what we are getting. So we are getting invalid grant unexpected code verifier. So if you have given the value which is not exactly what that was there in the code challenge, you are going to get the error invalid grant. Sometimes you will get your invalid code verifier error. Sometimes you will get unexpected code verifier error. But the error message will always be invalid grant for you. So you must need to make sure that you are generating the code verifier and code challenge correctly. Okay. So now we have got this access token. We'll quickly go ahead and try to make some request to the Salesforce. This is our instance URL which is used to make the request. We'll just go ahead and make a get call. We'll say that we are going to take some data and we are going to list all the accounts. We'll go to header sections, and under the headers we'll say authorization, and here we will add bearer as a token and then followed by an space and then our access token. So this is our access token that we have got. We'll use here and then we'll send it, and we will be able to see all the details about the objects and along with all the account records here. So if you wanted to get the information about that single account record, you can just use that and click on you can hit enter or you can click on just send and see all the details about that account. So this was about like how you can get the code verifier, how you can use PKCE flow in Salesforce, which is a again proof key for code exchange.